Listen, beyond the reach of the restless modern world, beyond the hum of electricity and the frantic pace of the hours, there exists a sanctuary where time has slowed to the gentle rhythm of a falling leaf. You are stepping back, drifting through the centuries, until you find yourself in the quiet, cobbled heart of the 18th century. Here, in the village of Elderwood, the twilight does not fall. It arrives like a soft, blue velvet blanket, tucking the world into a state of profound stillness. Before you stands a heavy oak door, its grain deepened by decades of autumn rain and golden summer sun. You reach out, your fingers brushing against the cool, weathered wood, and as the latch lifts with a slow, melodic click, the weight of your day simply dissolves at the threshold. The air that greets you is not merely air. It is a living history, a rich and golden tapestry of scent that has been woven over 100 years of healing. It is the deep, grounding aroma of dried cedar wood, the sweet, citrusy ghost of orange peels drying by the fire, and the silver, cooling mist of dried lavender hanging from the blackened rafters above. This is the Hearth and Herb Apothecary, a place that has been burning its fire for a century, just to ensure that the hearth is warm for your arrival. As the door closes behind you, the muffled silence becomes a physical presence, wrapping around your shoulders like a heavy, woolen cloak. The outside world is now nothing more than a fading memory, a distant echo that cannot penetrate these thick stone walls. To your left, the great stone fireplace dominates the room, its mouth glowing with a deep, pulsating amber light. The fire does not roar, it whispers. It speaks in the language of small pops and rhythmic hisses, the sound of ancient oak logs surrendering to the heat. Resting on a hand-woven rug of deep crimson and forest green is Thistle, a cat of immense soft roundness, her marmalade fur shimmering in the firelight like polished copper. She does not startle at your presence. Instead, she offers a single, slow blink of her emerald eyes, a silent recognition that you belong here, that you have finally found your way home. She tucks her paws beneath her chest, her purr becoming a low-frequency vibration that seems to align with the very foundation of the building. The shop is a temple of quietude, organized by a logic of care rather than commerce. Thousands of hand-blown glass jars line the dark wooden shelves, stretching up into the soft shadows of the ceiling. In the dim light, they glow like captured stars. You see the deep midnight blue of dried cornflowers, the dusty silver of sage leaves, and the pale, translucent shimmer of crushed seashells. There are jars containing roots that look like gnarled, wise old hands, and tins of spices that carry the warmth of distant suns. Each vessel is labeled in a graceful, fading script, recording not just the contents, but the intentions behind them. For restless nights, for courage in the dark, for the mending of a heavy heart, for the mending of a heavy heart. You move further into the room, your footsteps swallowed by the soft layer of sawdust and dried herbs that coat the floorboards. Every movement here feels deliberate, as if the air itself is thick enough to slow your gestures, turning every action into a form of meditation. Cedric is not here yet, but his presence is everywhere. In the neatly arranged mortar and pestle on the counter, in the open ledger filled with observations on the phases of the moon, and in the sheer sense of peace that permeates the wood. Elsie, his dedicated apprentice, moves in the background with the grace of a shadow, her hands moving with quiet precision as she sorts through a fresh bundle of peppermint. She does not speak, for words are not needed in a place where the atmosphere tells the story. The grandfather clock in the corner is a towering sentinel of dark mahogany, its brass pendulum swinging with a heavy, hypnotic certainty. Tick, tock, dot, tick, gnaw, tock. Each second is a gentle reminder that there is nowhere else you need to be, nothing else you need to do. The rhythm begins to govern your own breathing, pulling the air deep into your lungs and releasing it in long, slow sighs. Your shoulders, which have been held tight against the stresses of your life, finally begin to drop. The tension in your jaw softens. The tiny muscles around your eyes relax as you let the amber glow of the room wash over you, bathing your mind in a light that feels like a physical embrace. Outside, the first frost of the season is beginning to lace the window panes with delicate crystalline patterns, but inside, the cold cannot reach you. The hearth fire is an eternal guardian against the chill. You find a high-backed armchair near the fire, its leather softened by time and smelling faintly of pipe tobacco and old books. As you sit, the chair seems to mold itself to your form, supporting you in a way that feels ancient and certain. From this vantage point, the apothecary reveals its deeper secrets, the way the light from the fire catches the dust motes dancing in the air, turning them into a swirl of tiny golden fairies, and the way the shadows in the corners seem to breathe with a life of their own. You are now fully anchored in this space. The transition from the world of noise to the world of silence is complete. The history of this shop is not found in dates or names, but in the feeling of safety it provides to every weary traveler who crosses its threshold. It is a history of kindness, of small remedies for big sorrows, and of the enduring power of the natural world to heal the spirit. You feel your eyelids growing heavy, not with the exhaustion of work, but with the delicious weight of true relaxation. The world is small now, limited to the warmth of the fire, the scent of the herbs, and the steady heartbeat of the clock. Elsie pauses in her work, her gaze falling upon a specific bottle made of cobalt blue glass that sits on the edge of the workstation. It catches the firelight, glowing with an inner radiance that seems to hum with a quiet energy. She reaches out, her slender fingers lingering on the cool surface of the glass before she gently lifts it. As she moves towards the preparation table, the soft clink of the bottle against a ceramic bowl signals a shift in the evening. The air grows even stiller, as if the house itself is leaning in to listen. The story of the herbs is about to unfold, one leaf and one drop at a time, leading you deeper into the aromatic labyrinth of the apothecary's wisdom. The scent of dried sage and wild honey hangs heavy in the air, a golden, invisible weight that pulls the lingering tension from your limbs, one muscle at a time. It is a fragrance that feels ancient, as if the very molecules of the room have been steeped in a century of calm, undisturbed by the hurried pace of the world outside the heavy oak door. You breathe in deeply, and with every slow inhalation, the sharp, jagged edges of your day continue to blur and soften. The sweetness of the honey provides a soft, comforting top note to the deeper, more grounded earthiness of the sage, creating a sensory cradle that holds you perfectly still in the flickering amber light of the hearth. The air here carries a subtle moisture, a coolness that suggests the quiet life still dormant within the dried bundles of flora hanging from the blackened rafters above. You find yourself surrounded by a symphony of quiet, evocative scents, the sharp, refreshing hint of peppermint that tingles against the senses, the comforting musk of old hand-pressed paper, and the faint, resinous bite of pine sap that lingers like a forest's memory. Your eyes begin to wander with a slow, heavy grace, tracing the intricate labyrinth of the apothecary's shelves that line the walls. They are a masterpiece of dark, polished oak, wood that has deepened in color over generations, stretching from the uneven, sawdust-dusted floorboards all the way up into the velvet shadows where the candlelight cannot reach. These shelves do not merely hold jars, they are the silent keepers of a quiet history, a physical record of human endurance and the search for peace. Thousands of tiny glass vessels are nestled here in the dim light, each one unique in its clarity and form. You see bottles made of thick sea-green glass that looks like frozen fragments of the ocean, sitting beside jars as clear and fragile as the first thin layer of ice on a winter pond. They are organized not by cold academic categories, but by the nature of the solace they provide to the soul. There are entire rows dedicated to the quieting of a racing heart, bottles filled with petals that have been dried slowly in the shadow of a lunar eclipse, and jars containing the silver-gray moss that only grows on the north side of ancient, weathered stones. As you linger on each shelf, the sheer, breathtaking detail of the inventory becomes overwhelming in the most peaceful way imaginable. You see jars filled with fine, pearlescent powders that shimmer with a soft radiance whenever the firelight hits them, looking like the iridescent dust from a moth's wing caught in a sunbeam. Beside them sit heavy stoneware crocks containing dark, viscous oils, substances so thick they seem to trap the golden light within their very depths. There are bundles of roots tied with twine that has frayed and softened over years of sitting in the stillness, and tiny porcelain boxes containing salts that carry the sharp, clean scent of a distant, stormy sea. You begin to realize, as the warmth of the fire seeps into your skin, that every ailment known to the village of Elderwood has a corresponding remedy here on these shelves. There is a cure for the long, hollow loneliness of a winter night, a balm for the down nears night, quiet anxiety that keeps a mind awake, and a tincture for the weary traveler whose joints so ache with the coming of the rain. It is a vast catalogue of empathy, a physical manifestation of the promise that no one in this village, or beyond its borders, has to carry their heavy burdens alone. The shelves themselves seem to hum with a low collective energy, a soft, vibrating resonance of all the stories and intentions contained within the glass. You find your focus narrowing onto the labels, each one written in a hand that is both elegant and utilitarian, a testament to the hours spent in quiet study. Some labels are fresh, the ink dark and crisp against the cream-colored parchment, likely the work of Elsie's steady and careful hand. Others are so ancient that the paper has turned the color of deep, steep tea, the script fading into a ghostly memory of words that were written by apothecaries long since passed into legend. You read the flowing script: essence of summer twilight, crushed willow for the weary, aconite for the brave, and petals of the midnight lily. Each name is a tiny poem, a soft invocation of the natural world's profound power to restore balance and harmony. The sheer volume of these jars provides a strange and deep sense of security. It is the feeling of being protected within a fortress of ancient knowledge, where every possible shadow of the human experience has already been considered, understood, and answered by the wisdom of the earth. Amidst this vast, shimmering sea of amber and clear glass, your gaze is suddenly pulled toward a specific shelf at eye level, tucked slightly away in a corner where the shadows of the rafters linger most comfortably. There sits a single jar, distinct and solitary from all the others in the shop. It is crafted from a type of glass that seems to have no inherent color of its own, yet it catches the dying light of the hearth fire in a peculiar and mesmerizing way. The label is simple, written in a script so fine and delicate it looks like it was woven from spider's silk. Yesterday's echo. As you watch, a pale, ethereal blue light begins to shimmer and pulse from deep within the jar. It is not a bright or startling light, but a soft, rhythmic glow, like the bioluminescence of a creature in the deep sea, or the very first, tentative light of dawn, creeping over a misty moor. The glow seems to expand and contract in perfect time with your own slow, steady breathing, a rhythmic luminance that suggests the contents are not entirely dormant, but waiting in a state of peaceful potential. This particular jar does not contain dried herbs, powdered minerals, or heavy oils. Instead, it seems to hold a swirling, translucent mist that catches the soft blue light and twists it into slow, hypnotic patterns that defy the laws of gravity. It is a memory cure, a rare and delicate preparation used by the masters of the apothecary to help those who are haunted by the sharp shadows of the past to find a moment of absolute, unshakable stillness. The blue light is a cooling influence, a visual representation of the peace that comes when a painful or restless memory is finally allowed to lay down its weight and rest. You feel your own wandering thoughts being drawn into that soft blue pulse, like a moth drawn to a gentle flame. The worries you held about tomorrow, the small regrets you carried from the morning, they all begin to feel as distant, as harmless, and as beautiful as the swirling mist inside the glass. The echo is a reminder that the past is merely a story we tell ourselves, and within the walls of this room, you have the profound power to rewrite the ending of that story into one of lasting tranquility. The visual beauty of the glowing jar is suddenly joined by a sound that grounds you back into the physical reality of the apothecary, further steadying your heart. From behind the long, scarred wooden counter, where the surface has been smoothed by a century of work, the rhythmic sound of a stone mortar and pestle begins to rise through the silence. It is Cedric, the master apothecary, working with a deliberate, unhurried grace that suggests he has all the time in the world. The sound is a low, stony rasp, the ancient music of granite meeting granite as he grinds a handful of dried chamomile flowers and valerian root into a fine, soothing dust. It is a sound as old as human civilization itself, a primitive and comforting melody that speaks of purposeful labor, of quiet care, and of the sacred transformation of the earth's gifts into medicine for the soul. With every circular, meditative motion of his hand, the grinding sound creates a hypnotic loop, a textured noise that fills the gaps in the silence without ever breaking it. The dust of the herbs rises in a tiny, fragrant cloud above the mortar, catching the flickering firelight and looking for a moment like golden pollen floating in the air of a summer meadow. Cedric's movements are a study in perfect economy. There is no wasted effort in his hands, no haste in his posture. He is entirely and beautifully present in the simple act of grinding, his focus so absolute that it seems to pull the rest of the room and your own attention into his quiet orbit of calm. You listen to the grit of the dried herbs slowly becoming smoother and softer, the sound changing from a sharp, crisp crunch to a soft, whispering slide as the plants surrender their individual forms to become something entirely new and healing. This is the true descent into the quietude of the craft, the moment where the physical world begins to dissolve into the spiritual. The sound of the mortar and pestle becomes a steady drone, a natural white noise that invites your mind to stop its endless analyzing and simply exist in the vibration of the room. The fire in the great stone hearth pops once more, a tiny, warm punctuation mark in the steady rhythm of Cedric's work. The marmalade cat, Thistle, stretches one long, fur-covered leg out across the rug and lets out a soft, trilling sigh in her deep sleep, her tail twitching once in a dream of butterflies before becoming perfectly still again. The blue light from the jar of yesterday's echo continues its slow, rhythmic pulse, casting long, gentle shadows that play like ghosts across the rows of glass bottles. You are suspended now in a moment of perfect, crystalline stasis, wrapped in a warm cocoon of scent, light, and ancient sound. The apothecary has done its silent work. Your heart rate has slowed to match the ticking of the mahogany clock. Your breath is deep and effortless, and the very boundaries of your body feel as soft and blurred as the shadows in the far corners of the ceiling. Just as the silence reaches its deepest and most resonant point, a sound comes from the quiet world outside, a sound that doesn't break the peace, but rather gives it a new and gentle direction. It is a hesitant knock at the heavy oak door, 3 soft taps that vibrate through the wood. It is not the insistent, sharp bang of an emergency or a crisis, but rather the soft, polite tapping of someone seeking a quiet word, a moment of guidance, and the warmth of a shared fire. The sound resonates through the ancient wood of the shop, a muffled heartbeat coming from the village beyond the mist. Cedric pauses his grinding, his hand resting lightly on the stone pestle as he tilts his head toward the door in a gesture of patient welcome. The rhythmic rasping stops, leaving a vacuum of silence that is filled with the quiet anticipation of a new arrival. The knock is the herald of the evening's first story, a bridge between the solitary peace you have found in your armchair and the shared interwoven history of the people of Elderwood. As the heavy iron latch begins to lift once more with a slow metallic sigh, you prepare your heart to listen to the tale that is about to unfold in the amber light. The heavy iron latch of the hearth and herb lifts with a slow, rhythmic groan, a sound that feels as though the ancient building itself is taking a deep, welcoming breath after a long day of holding the world at bay. The oak door, darkened by a century of seasons, swings inward just enough to allow a delicate silver sliver of the cool evening mist to drift across the threshold, curling like smoke over the polished floorboards. Stepping through this threshold is old Gwendolyn, a figure whose very presence is woven into the long, storied history of Elderwood as deeply as the ancient roots of the forest that stand guard around the village. Her arrival is a masterclass in profound quietude. She does not walk so much as she drifts through the amber light, her footsteps falling upon the soft layer of sawdust and dried lavender with the weightless grace of autumn leaves settling upon the surface of a perfectly still black pond. She wears a heavy cloak of deep, faded charcoal wool, its hem darkened by the creeping fog of the moors, and her silver hair is tucked neatly beneath a hand-knitted hood that carries the faint, nostalgic scent of wood smoke and cedar. There is a magnificent crystalline stillness in her gaze, a gentle, lived-in weariness that speaks not of physical exhaustion, but of a soul that has carried the silent, noble weight of many changing seasons with a quiet dignity. As she approaches the long-scarred wooden counter, the very air around her seems to settle and cool, the flickering firelight casting long, graceful shadows behind her that mimic the slow, rhythmic elegance of her every movement. She offers a small, knowing smile to Cedric, a silent greeting between two old souls who have long since mastered the unspoken, beautiful language of the night. Elsie steps forward from the deep shadows of the back shelves, her own young movements intuitively slowing down, mirroring the steady, calm rhythm of the visitor. She understands, with a wisdom beyond her years, exactly why Gwendolyn has come at this specific blue hour. It is the same reason so many weary hearts seek the sanctuary of the apothecary when the moon begins its slow, silver ascent over the trees. This is the hour when the silence of a lonely home becomes a little too resonant, when the ticking of a kitchen clock feels like a rhythmic hammer, and when the empty chair across the small table feels a little too heavy to look at. Without a single word being exchanged, for words are often too clumsy and loud for such moments, Elsie turns toward the preparation table. Her hands move with a practiced, reverent grace toward a small earthenware tin tucked safely behind the glowing jars of lavender and chamomile. This is the beginning of the Dreamweaver tea, a secret blend that requires far more than mere measurement. It requires a specific kind of internal silence and a steady, loving presence. She carefully selects 3 dried blossoms of the rare star lily, their petals pale and curled like the fragile wings of sleeping moths, and adds a measured pinch of crushed silver leaf mint, which glitters like stardust in the dim light. The sound of the dried herbs hitting the ceramic bottom of the teapot is a tiny, crisp melody, a soft, percussive prelude to the profound, enveloping warmth that is about to follow. As Elsie begins to pour the steaming hot spring water over the delicate blend, a miraculous slow-motion transformation takes place. A plume of pearly steam rises from the spout of the pot, thick and iridescent in the amber glow of the shop's oil lanterns. This steam does not simply dissipate into the air. Instead, it rises in slow, intricate, and mesmerizing swirls, twisting itself into ethereal shapes that resemble the delicate lace of an ancient bridal veil, or the soft, shifting curls of a summer cloud at sunset. You find yourself watching, completely mesmerized, as the vapors dance in the heavy stillness of the room, carrying with them the grounding scent of rain-washed earth and the faint, sweet ghost of wild roses from a garden long since gone to seed. The rhythmic bubbling of the water inside the pot and the quiet, steady hiss of the rising steam create a sonic sanctuary, a thick layer of white noise that wraps around Gwendolyn like a protective velvet barrier against the outside world. Elsie stirs the infusion with a long, slender silver spoon, the metal clicking softly and rhythmically against the ceramic sides, a steady, hypnotic pulse that seems to ground the very atmosphere of the room. The steam continues to spiral upward, higher and higher toward the darkened rafters, catching the soft blue light from the yesterday's echo jar, and turning into a shimmering blue-tinged mist that hangs suspended in the air like a dream waiting patiently to be dreamt. This tea is not a mere sedative meant to dull the senses. Its purpose is far more profound, rooted in the sacred history of healing the spirit through the senses. The Dream Weaver is a blend crafted specifically for those who find themselves in the midst of a long, quiet, and echoing goodbye. The secret of its power, as Cedric once whispered to Elsie during her very first year of apprenticeship, is that the tea does not bring about a heavy, dark, or dreamless sleep. Instead, it creates a thin, luminous, and golden bridge between the world of the living and the vast, peaceful realm of memory. It facilitates a visit from those we have lost, presenting them not as frightening shadows or painful reminders, but wrapped in the glowing warmth of their most cherished and vital traits. It is a tea that allows a widow to hear, in the soft, rhythmic crackle of her own hearth, the low and comforting rumble of a husband's laughter, or to feel the phantom, reassuring touch of a warm hand upon her shoulder as she drifts into the first layers of soft slumber. It is a remedy for the heart's famine, providing a rich, aromatic feast of presence in the cold midst of absence. The true reveal of this magic lies in the way the steam begins to settle into the shape of a familiar comfort, a soft, pervasive warmth that permeates the entire shop and makes the vast distance between the past and the present feel as thin and insignificant as a single translucent leaf falling in the woods. Gwendolyn reaches out with trembling, porcelain-thin fingers to take the warm cup that Elsie offers with a slight, respectful bow of her head. The ceramic surface is solid, grainy, and warm, acting as a physical anchor in the misty, shifting evening. As she brings the cup slowly toward her lips, the rising steam bathes her weathered face in a soft, humid glow, momentarily smoothing the deep lines of grief and time that have etched themselves into her brow over the long, lonely months since her house became quiet. She takes her first sip, an act that is slow, deliberate, and full of ancient intention. You watch as the warmth of the tea travels through her, a visible wave of physical relaxation that starts at her throat and moves downward through her chest, spreading like ink in water, until her entire posture softens and sinks deeper into the high-backed chair. A long, shuddering, and absolute sigh of relief escapes her, a sound that seems to carry away the accumulated tension of 1,000 lonely, silent hours. In that single deep breath, her soul seems to find its footing once again. The warmth of the infusion has reached the cold, forgotten places within her, and for the first time in many nights, the silence of the world feels like a precious gift rather than a heavy, suffocating burden. She closes her eyes, a small, peaceful, and radiant smile gracing her lips as she tastes the wild honey and the silver leaf mint, finding the very essence of a life well loved and well remembered in every single golden drop. The shop falls into a state of perfect crystalline silence now, save for the low rhythmic purr of Thistle the cat and the soft rhythmic dying of the embers in the great stone fireplace. Gwendolyn sits for a very long time, cradling the warm cup in both hands, her breathing becoming deep, rhythmic, and effortless, perfectly synchronized with the heavy mahogany ticking of the grandfather clock in the corner. Each swing of the pendulum feels like a gentle hand stroking the air, smoothing out the wrinkles of the day. The Dreamweaver has performed its ancient task. The bridge has been built, the light has been lit, and she is finally ready to cross over into a sleep that is not dark, but full of light, warmth, and the sound of familiar, loving voices whispering that all is well. Cedric nods his head slowly in the shadows, a gesture of silent, paternal approval for his apprentice's careful work. He knows that tonight, in a small cottage on the edge of the woods, a woman will sleep without fear. The heavy, invisible burden of the visitor's sorrow hasn't been erased, for love does not seek to forget, but it has been made beautiful, transformed into a cloak of golden, shimmering memories that she will wear like a shield throughout the long, cold night. The apothecary has once again fulfilled its oldest and most sacred promise, to be the quiet guardian of the village's collective heart, a place where even the deepest, oldest wounds are tended to with the infinite gentleness of a fading autumn sun. Every object in the shop seems to acknowledge this moment of healing. The jars on the shelves glow a little softer, the shadows in the corners retreat a little further, and even the wind outside seems to hold its breath as it passes the chimney. You feel the peace radiating from Gwendolyn like a physical warmth, crossing the space between her chair and yours, inviting you to share in this state of total surrender. Her fingers, once tight and anxious, now rest loosely around the curves of the earthenware cup. The steam has stopped rising in thick plumes, now only a faint, ghostly ribbon that curls around her silver hair. This is the ultimate safe state, the realization that no matter how vast the world is, or how lonely the night may seem, there is always a hearth, a cup of tea, and a hand willing to stir the herbs. The history of the hearth and herb is a history of these small, quiet victories over despair, recorded not in books, but in the softened expressions of those who walk back out into the night. Eventually, Gwendolyn rises from her seat, her movements now imbued with a newfound, ethereal lightness, as if she has left a heavy, jagged stone behind on the hearthrug. She replaces her knitted hood, her silver hair shimmering one last time in the golden firelight like a halo of moonlight. She offers no spoken words of thanks, for in this sanctuary, words are unnecessary and often too loud. The clarity and peace in her eyes are the only currency the hearth and herb has ever required. She moves toward the door, her silhouette momentarily framed against the deep indigo of the night as the latch lifts with a soft, final, and metallic click. As she steps out into the cool evening air, the door remains open for a small heartbeat, longer than usual, as if the house itself is watching her go, ensuring her path is clear. Through the narrow gap, the sounds of the village of Elderwood begin to drift into the shop, not the sounds of labor or industry, but the distant, melodic, and blurred echoes of laughter drifting from the village square. The laughter is faint, like the memory of music, carried on a breeze that smells of wood smoke and celebration. It is the sound of the evening festival beginning to breathe, a sharp, vibrant contrast to the sacred, heavy quiet of the apothecary, yet it feels perfectly and harmoniously right. It reminds you that life, in all its messy, joyful noise, continues just beyond the door, waiting for those who have been healed to return to it. The night wind carries the rhythmic thrum of a lute and the smell of roasting chestnuts, signaling that while the time for healing is always quiet, the life that follows it is forever full of song and connection. The door closes at last. The latch settles with a final echoing thud that signals the end of this chapter. The shop returns to its private glow, and the apothecary turns its quiet, glowing attention toward the celebration, waiting just beyond the shadow of the trees, where the next story is already beginning to take shape in the golden light of the festival lanterns. You lean back into your chair, the warmth of Gwendolyn's peace still lingering in the air, ready to let the distant music lead you into the next dream. Beyond the heavy, ancient oak doors of the apothecary, the very atmosphere of Elderwood has begun to vibrate with a different kind of energy, a low and rhythmic amber resonance that signals the arrival of the sacred harvest moon. This is the one night of the year when the boundary between the mundane world and the realm of the magical wears thin, and the entire village transforms into a living, breathing tapestry of golden light and long, dancing shadows. From your soft seat by the hearth, you can hear the distant, melodic echoes of the preparations, the soft wooden clatter of tables being set in the stone square, the rhythmic chime of heavy iron lanterns being hung from the low-hanging, mossy branches of the ancient elms, and the collective, harmonic murmur of a community preparing to celebrate the earth's silent bounty. The village of Elderwood does not simply observe the changing of the season. It inhales it, breathing in the crisp, sharp scent of fallen leaves and birch wood smoke, and exhaling a golden radiance that seems to push back the encroaching indigo of the autumn night. The world outside is no longer a place of hard labor or weary industry, but a magnificent theater of wonder, where every single lantern lit is a tiny, defiant sun, holding the dark at bay. As the festival breathes fully into life, the visual landscape of the village square becomes a masterpiece of profound sensory immersion, a place where the eyes find rest in beauty. Imagine thousands upon thousands of delicate paper lanterns, each one hand-painted with intricate celestial cartography, forgotten constellations, and swirling floral patterns suspended on invisible silken lines across the ancient cobblestones. They sway gently in the cooling night breeze, their inner candles flickering in a perfectly synchronized dance that mimics the silent twinkling of the distant stars above. The light they cast is not harsh, white, or modern. It is a deep, saturated gold, the rich color of aged forest honey and polished brass which bathes the weathered faces of the villagers in a soft, timeless glow that erases the years. There are wooden stalls overflowing with the gifts of the harvest, great, rounded piles of pumpkins that look like mounds of molten copper in the twilight, woven baskets of apples so deep a red they appear to be carved from precious rubies, and tall glass flagons of golden ale that catch the lantern light and hold it captive in their bubbling depths. The scent of roasting chestnuts, crackling over open pits, and cinnamon-dusted pastries drifts through the air, weaving through the cool evening mist like a warm, inviting thread, drawing the soul into the simple, profound joy of the communal feast. Every detail of the square is amplified by the stillness of the night. You can feel the texture of the rough-hewn wooden tables, smoothed by decades of use, and the coolness of the cider mugs as they sweat in the warm autumn air. The sound of the crowd is not a noise, but a collective vibration of hundreds of voices blending into a single, soothing frequency. It is the sound of neighbors sharing stories of the summer past, of children whispering about the legends of the moon, and of the soft, rhythmic clicking of wooden spoons against ceramic bowls. The very ground beneath your feet seems to pulse with the history of this place. A solid and ancient foundation that has supported these celebrations for centuries. You find yourself sinking deeper into the observation, your mind detaching from the concept of time and simply drifting on the currents of light and sound. This is the true meaning of immersion, to become a part of the scene, to let the boundaries of your own self dissolve into the golden haze of the village square. At the very center of this golden, swirling chaos stands the great fountain of Elderwood, its ancient waters reflecting the thousands of amber lights until the basin looks like a pool of liquid stars fallen from the sky. It is here that the evening takes its most whimsical and legendary turn, a moment that will be whispered about by the firesides for many generations to come. Elsie, in her earlier youthful excitement for the festivities, had been carefully transporting a wooden tray of liquid laughter tinctures toward the square, her steps perhaps a bit too light, her heart a bit too full of the infectious festival spirit. A stray, uneven pebble, a momentary slip of the foot, and a single ornate vial of iridescent, pink-tinged potion shattered with a crystalline ring against the mossy stone edge of the fountain. The potion did not simply wash away into the drains. Instead, it bonded instantly with the cool mist rising from the splashing water, creating a shimmering, fragrant, and glowing haze that settled like a soft blanket over the nearest group of revelers. This was the beginning of what the village now calls the accidental dance. Within mere heartbeats, the sternest of the elders and the most reserved of the village scholars found their heavy feet moving to a rhythmic pulse that only they could hear. It was not a fast or frantic movement, but a slow, graceful, and utterly spontaneous waltz-a-chain reaction of fluid motion that spread through the vast crowd like a gentle ripple across a mirror-still pond. The sight is nothing short of hypnotic, a visual lullaby for the mind. You see the village blacksmith, usually a man of iron, soot, and hard edges, spinning a young flower seller with the effortless elegance of a courtier. You see small children weaving through the legs of the dancers like silver fish darting through a golden stream, their high, clear laughter harmonizing perfectly with the deep, rhythmic thrum of the lutes and the wooden fiddles. The movement of the crowd is fluid, unhurried, and perfectly safe, a physical manifestation of pure, unadulterated delight that requires no words. The lanterns hanging above seem to pulse and breathe in time with the music, their golden light stretching and shrinking on the cobblestones as the dancers pass over them in a continuous, flowing loop. There is no sense of urgency in the air, no desire for this dance to ever reach an end. It is a timeless loop of shared joy, a moment where the history of Elderwood is written not in dusty ink, but in the synchronized, peaceful beating of 100 human hearts. The air itself feels charged with a gentle, invisible electricity, a pervasive warmth that has nothing to do with the physical fire and everything to do with the shared, silent experience of being alive, together, under the watchful silver eye of the harvest moon. You watch as the light catches the silver embroidery on Gwendolyn's cloak as she moves through the crowd, her face radiant with a youthfulness that only tonight could provide. You see Cedric leaning against a stone pillar, a goblet of cider in his hand, his eyes crinkling with a silent, deep-seated contentment as he watches his apprentice navigate the joyful chaos. The music seems to swell and recede like the tide, a sea of strings and woodwinds that carries the dancers on its back. Every spin, every step, and every shared glance is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, a declaration that even in the face of the coming winter, there is space for beauty and connection. The accidental dance becomes a metaphor for life itself, a series of unexpected movements, guided by an invisible rhythm, leading us toward a state of collective harmony. Yet, as you watch this magnificent scene from the quiet, protected sanctuary of the apothecary window, the true, deeper reveal begins to dawn on your mind, as soft and inevitable as the rising tide. Cedric stands quietly beside you, his weathered hands tucked into his long sleeves, his wise eyes reflecting the golden festivities outside with a profound, paternal pride. He leans in closer, his voice a low vibration that carries more weight than any ancient spellbook. The true magic of Elderwood is not contained within the glass jars on the shelves or the powders in the tins. The vials of liquid laughter and the shimmering powders of the midnight lily are merely catalysts, small, humble keys to doors that the villagers have already unlocked within themselves. The real enchantment, the real healing, lies in the collective joy of the people in their willingness to dance together in the dark, to share their bread with the stranger, and to find genuine wonder in the simple changing of the autumn leaves. The potions are only mirrors, reflecting the light that already exists, dormant within the human spirit. The accidental dance wasn't truly caused by the spilled tincture. It was simply invited out by it, a permission to be happy. The true alchemy of this evening is the invisible connection between neighbors, the shared history of a community that stubbornly refuses to let the cold shadow of winter extinguish the warmth of their collective hearths. This realization is the anchor that keeps you grounded in the midst of the wonder. You begin to see the festival not as an event, but as a state of being. The Amber lights are not just decorations, they are symbols of the internal fire that each person carries. The music is not just entertainment, it is the heartbeat of the village made audible. You feel a deep sense of gratitude for being allowed to witness this, for being invited into the inner sanctum of Elderwood's soul. The world outside may be vast and unpredictable, but within the circle of these lanterns, everything is exactly as it should be. The history of this village is a history of belonging, of knowing that you are a part of something larger than yourself, a thread in a tapestry that has been woven over hundreds of years. The music in the square begins to shift now, the fast-paced, chirping fiddles giving way to the long, haunting, and resonant notes of a single cello. The high, vibrant energy of the dance begins to dissolve into a slower, more meditative sway, as if the village itself is beginning to nod off. One by one, the furthest lanterns are dimmed or burned low, their golden fire retreating back into the quiet embers of the night. The crowds begin to disperse with a gentle rustling sound, their voices falling into soft, melodic murmurs as families walk hand in hand back toward their dark thatched cottages nestled in the trees. The vibrant, amber world is slowly, gracefully reclaiming its indigo shadows, and the stone square returns to its natural state of ancient, stony grace, bathed now in the impartial light of the moon. The transition is not an ending, but a folding inward, a preparation for the deep sleep that follows a day of perfect fulfillment. The music fades further and further into the cool distance, becoming a ghostly, beautiful echo that vibrates one last time against the apothecary's windowpane before vanishing entirely into the rolling mist. Now, there is only the moonlight, a cold, silver, and majestic contrast to the fading warmth of the festival, painting long, geometric, and silent patterns across the empty, damp cobblestones. The silence that follows is not a void or an absence. It is a rich, heavy, and fertile stillness that carries the entire weight of the night's golden memories. The village is sleeping now, tucked safely under the silver light, leaving only the hearth and herb as a solitary, glowing island of amber in a sea of blue. The rhythmic, heavy ticking of the grandfather clock in the corner of the shop returns to your awareness, a steady, grounding pulse that reminds you that while the world outside may celebrate and then sleep, the quiet work of the heart and the spirit continues in the deep shadows of the room. Cedric turns away from the window at last, his silhouette dark and imposing against the silver light of the moon. He beckons you toward the very back of the shop, toward a small, inconspicuous wooden door hidden behind a heavy, dust-scented velvet curtain of deep crimson. There is a new weight to his movement, a gravity that suggests the evening's deepest lessons are not yet finished, that the festival was only the beginning of the journey. The celebration was for the light that everyone can see, but the apothecary knows that the deepest, most lasting healing often happens in the absolute dark, where the roots grow and the stars are born. As the very last echoes of the lute disappear into the forest, you rise and follow him into the deeper, cooler shadows of the shop, where a different kind of secret waits to be revealed, a secret that doesn't belong to the village, but to the very ancient foundation of the earth itself. The transition is seamless and soft, a movement from the golden, shared joy of the many to the silver, silent mystery of the one, leading you further down into the quiet depths of the night. You follow him down a short flight of stone steps, the air becoming cooler and smelling of damp earth and ancient stone. The light from the shop above fades into a faint golden glow, replaced by the soft, rhythmic pulsing of a single blue lantern hanging from the ceiling of the cellar. This is the inner sanctum, the place where the most potent and sacred remedies are prepared. The walls are lined with shelves of dark, heavy wood, holding jars of minerals and roots that have never seen the sun. There is a profound sense of age here, a feeling that this cellar has existed since the very beginning of the village, a silent witness to the passage of time. Cedric stops before a small wooden table, his face illuminated by the blue light, and gestures for you to watch. He is about to reveal the secret of the Earth's own apothecary, a history that predates humanity itself, a story written in the stones and the shadows. The vibrant, golden echoes of the harvest festival begin to retreat into the misty distance, replaced by the dense velvet silence of the apothecary's inner sanctum. Cedric moves with a new, profound gravity that seems to pull the very shadows of the room toward his silhouette, framed against the slowly cooling embers of the great stone hearth. He settles into his worn leather chair with a deliberate slowness, the old wood creaking softly like a deep, tired sigh of relief, and beckons for you to listen with your heart rather than your ears. The air in this corner of the shop is noticeably different, cooler, more still, smelling of ancient damp stone and the sharp metallic tang of starlight caught in a jar. With a voice that carries the deep, vibrating resonance of a distant bronze bell, he begins to speak of a legend that you will not find in any of the village's official ledgers. He tells the slow story of a nameless traveler from a forgotten age, a man possessed by a restless, hungry intellect and a heart that feared the inevitable fading of the light more than anything else in the world. This traveler, Cedric explains as he stares into the dimness, spent the entirety of his youth chasing a phantom known only as the Alchemist's shadow. He sought a potion not for the simple act of healing, or for the fleeting spark of joy, but for the impossible, a forbidden tincture that could stop the relentless flow of time itself, freezing a single perfect moment of existence into an eternal, unchanging piece of amber. The narrative unfolds before you like the slow, careful turning of a page in a heavy vellum-bound book that has not been opened in centuries. Cedric describes the traveler's arduous journey through desolate, frozen peaks where the air is too thin to breathe, and through whispering, subterranean caverns where the walls drip with the tears of the earth. He tells of the man gathering ingredients that defied every known law of nature, the final, lingering breath of a mountain before an avalanche, the very first tear shed by a winter sky, and the absolute terrifying silence found at the bottom of a long-dried well. As he speaks, you can almost feel the biting, cold wind of those high altitudes against your skin, and the burning, singular obsession that drove the man forward through the darkness. The apothecary's shop seems to physically expand as his voice rises and falls, the familiar wooden walls dissolving into the vast, lonely landscapes of the traveler's ancient quest. Cedric's gnarled hands move through the dim amber light, tracing the invisible, winding lines of the traveler's path in the air, his long fingers looking like ancient roots set against the dark, heavy fabric of his robes. This story is a bridge, a steady vessel carrying you away from the festive warmth of the village square and deep into a space of cosmic introspection, where the only thing that truly matters is the weight of a single fragile life measured against the terrifying vastness of eternity. As the story deepens, it shifts gracefully from a quest of outward action into a profound inward philosophical dialogue that seems to vibrate in the very marrow of your bones. Cedric begins to pose questions that do not require answers, but rather a slow kind of surrender. He speaks of the inherent, breathtaking beauty of a sunset, how its entire splendor is derived precisely from the fact that it is fleeting, a momentary bruise on the sky that cannot be held. If the sun were to stay forever fixed at the horizon, he muses in a whisper, that golden light would eventually turn to heavy lead in our eyes, becoming a burden rather than a blessing. He explains with a gentle rhythm that the fragrance of a summer rose is only precious because the petals must, by their very nature, eventually fall to the damp earth, returning their stolen essence to the soil to feed the next season's bloom. The traveler's fatal mistake, Cedric suggests, was failing to realize that a moment frozen in time is no longer a living moment. It is a monument, cold, static, and dead. Life is defined entirely by its movement, its constant, graceful transition from one state of being to another, much like the water splashing in the great fountain or the blood pulsing in our own veins. To stop time is to stop the very heartbeat of the universe itself, and to do so would be to silence the song of creation. You find yourself sinking deeper and deeper into the incredible weight of these words, your mind drifting through the silent implications of a world without endings. The alchemist's shadow becomes a metaphor for your own human desire to hold tightly onto the things you love, to prevent the inevitable decay and change that comes with the passage of the silent hours. But Cedric's voice remains a steady grounding force in the shifting shadows of the room, preventing you from drifting too far into the dark. He speaks of the profound relief that comes only with the act of letting go, the deep, unshakable peace found in the humble acceptance that we are merely guests in the vast house of time, invited to stay for a short while before the next guests arrive. This dialogue is not a lecture, but a shared rhythmic meditation, a slow exploration of the human condition that invites you to release your white-knuckled grip on the events of the day. Surrender to the natural cooling flow of the night. The apothecary is no longer just a place of herbs and tinctures. It has become a classroom of the soul, where the most important lessons are taught in the language of sense and long, comfortable silences. Then comes the specific moment where the air in the shop seems to crystallize and thin, becoming so still that you can hear the soft, rhythmic settling of the gray ash in the stone grate. Cedric pauses his story, his gaze shifting away from the fire to the glowing jars of yesterday's echo, pulsing with their blue light on the high shelf. The light reflects in his pupils, revealing a depth of weariness and ancient wisdom that you had not dared to notice before. He leans forward, his face moving closer to yours, the shadows stretching across his features until only his eyes remain visible, glowing like twin embers in the dark. He admits in a whisper that feels like a sacred secret shared between the oldest stars in the galaxy, that the traveler was not a legend from a dusty book. The traveler was him. Centuries upon centuries ago, long before the village of Elderwood even had a name, he was the one who sought to freeze the world in amber. He was the man who brewed the forbidden potion and held the crystal stopper in his hand, his heart pounding against his ribs, ready to halt the sun in its tracks. But at the final, irreversible moment, he saw a single brown leaf fall from a withered tree and realized that its simple, fluttering journey to the ground was more beautiful and more alive than any static, frozen perfection could ever hope to be. He chose to let the leaf land. He chose to age. He chose to become the guardian of the moments that end, rather than the master of the moments that stay. This reveal settles over your consciousness like a heavy, silken shroud, shifting your entire perception of the old man sitting before you. He is not just a village apothecary. He is a witness to the passing of the centuries, a living, breathing bridge to a past that every other living soul has long since forgotten. The yesterday's echo jars on the shelves take on a sudden, breathtaking new meaning. They are not just medicines for the villagers. They are his own personal memories, kept not to stop the flow of time, but to honor the sheer beauty of what has already passed. The realization is both humbling and deeply, profoundly comforting. You are in the immediate presence of someone who has seen the beginning and the end of 1,000 cycles of life and found a lasting peace in the very middle of them. The mystery of his longevity is no longer a puzzle to be solved by the mind, but a truth to be felt in the profound, heavy stillness of the room. You realize that you are safe because he has seen it all before, and he knows that the morning will always come, even after the longest night. The rushung begins as the massive mahogany grandfather clock in the corner of the shop undergoes a subtle, almost impossible change in its character. The heavy brass pendulum continues to swing back and forth, But the sound, the rhythmic, mechanical tick-tock, begins to perceptibly slow down, expanding the physical space between the passing seconds. The sound becomes deeper, more resonant, echoing the slow, steady thrum of a resting heartbeat. It matches your own pulse perfectly, pulling your physiology into a direct alignment with the ancient, slowing rhythm of the apothecary shop. Each tick is a long, low-frequency vibration that seems to gently massage the very air in the room, smoothing out any remaining ripples of anxiety, thought, or tension in your mind. The world of the village, the noise of the festival, and even the dramatic story of the traveler begin to fade into a singular, rhythmic, and hypnotic drone. You are no longer thinking about the complex philosophy of time. You are experiencing time as a vast, calm, and shoreless ocean. The ticking continues to decelerate with every passing breath, creating a hypnotic loop that anchors you firmly to the leather of your chair. Your breathing slows down naturally to match the pendulum's wider arc, each lungful of air feeling heavy, cool, and nourishing, like the mist rolling over the moors at midnight. Cedric remains perfectly still in his chair, his presence a silent, immovable anchor in the deepening dark of the room. The shop is now a cocoon of sound and shadow, a place where the very concept of a moment has finally dissolved into a continuous, peaceful, and eternal present. There is no tomorrow left to plan for, no yesterday left to regret. There is only the rhythmic heartbeat pulse of the clock and the comforting warmth of the seat beneath you. You are drifting gracefully on the very edge of a deep, restorative, and sacred sleep, guided by the steady hand of a man who knows exactly how precious and how fragile this quietness truly is. The fire in the hearth, which was once a vibrant and chaotic dance of orange and gold, has finally exhausted its wooden fuel. The flames have vanished entirely, leaving behind a single massive ember that glows with a deep, dark red intensity, looking like the closed eye of a sleeping giant. This red light is soft, dim, and heavy, casting long, static shadows across the room that do not flicker, jump, or move. It provides just enough light for you to see the faint, comforting outline of the herb shelves and the dark, sleeping silhouette of the cat, Thistle, who is now nothing more than a soft shape on the rug. The transition is now complete. The frantic energy of the light has been replaced by the cooling, restorative power of the dark. The warmth of the fire still lingers in the stones of the hearth, but it is a cooling warmth, a final signal to your body that the time for observation is over and the time for total rest has arrived. The deep red glow of that final ember is your last visual anchor before the world turns to velvet shadow. It is the color of absolute, primal safety, a reminder of the molten core of the earth and the steady heat that remains even after the fire of the day has gone out. You watch that single point of dark red light, letting it fill your entire field of vision until everything else blurs into a soft, comforting, and velvet blackness. The transition to the deeper, more silent secrets of the night is now seamless and inevitable. A quiet, graceful slip from the world of stories into the infinite world of dreams. As the ember dims further and further into the dark, the silence of the apothecary shop becomes absolute and sacred, a vacuum of peace that waits to be filled by the next, even slower, and even more silent chapter of the evening's long journey. The vibrant, fading amber glow of the apothecary shop has now dissolved into a soft, distant memory of light. As Elsie quietly reaches out to pull back the heavy, dust-scented velvet curtain, she steps through the rear wooden door with a practiced silence, moving into the cool, indigo embrace of the night. Here, protected by towering stone walls that have stood as silent sentinels for centuries, lies the Moongazer's garden, a secret, sacred sanctuary where the harsh rules of the sun simply do not apply. You follow her shadow as she moves into the crisp, ethereal air, her feet finding the moss-covered stone path with an instinctive rhythmic grace that feels as old as the earth itself. This is not a typical garden of vibrant, shouting blooms or the busy buzzing of bees. It is a nocturnal landscape of silver, shadow, and absolute stillness, a place where plants grow only by the faint, filtered, and ancient touch of the distant starlight. The air here is remarkably thin, sharp, and clean, carrying a fragrance that is difficult for the mind to name, a scent that lingers somewhere between the pristine smell of a fresh midnight snowfall and the deep, metallic sweetness of cooling iron. In this garden, the silence is so profound and so heavy that it feels like a physical presence, wrapping around your senses like a veil of the finest gossamer silk, inviting you to let go of everything you thought you knew about the day. As your eyes slowly adjust to the profound darkness, the flora of the night begins to reveal itself in a slow, hypnotic display of bioluminescence that seems to pulse with the very heartbeat of the universe. To your right, the silver leaf ferns begin to unfurl their delicate, lace-like fronds in slow motion, their jagged edges glowing with a soft, steady, and ethereal luminescence that looks like captured moonlight held within the veins of the plant. They do not sway or toss in the gentle night breeze. Instead, they pulse with a slow, internal, and rhythmic light, as if they are breathing in the very essence of the dark cosmos. Beside them, the midnight lilies stand tall, regal, and elegant, their petals a deep, light-absorbing black that seems to drink in the surrounding darkness like a thirsty traveler. But it is not their haunting color that captures your attention. It is the sound they emit. If you listen with the absolute stillness of your soul, you can hear them. A low-frequency hum, a vibration so deep, so steady, and so resonant that it begins to vibrate within your own chest. It is the music of the earth's quietest, most private thoughts, a harmonic drone that bypasses the analytical mind and speaks directly to the ancient nervous system, commanding every cell in your weary body to settle, to slow down, and to simply exist in this moment of silver grace. Elsie moves among the long, neat rows of glowing plants with a reverence that borders on one. The sacred, her hands never hurrying, never grasping. She does not harvest these delicate plants within the utilitarian haste of a common merchant. Instead, she touches them only with the very tips of her fingers, a silent, electric exchange of energy between the human spirit and the botanical soul. You watch from the shadows as she leans over a vast cluster of star moss, which grows with a quiet persistence in the damp, dark crevices of the ancient stone wall. The moss flickers and dances with thousands of tiny pinprick lights, perfectly echoing the cold constellations that wheel slowly and majestically across the infinite sky above your head. The repetition of her movements, the slow, rhythmic bend of her knees, the steady, patient reach of her hand, and the quiet, synchronized exhale of her breath creates a hypnotic loop of motion that draws you deeper into a state of trance. It is a visual lullaby of the highest order, a wordless dance of shadows and silver light that anchors your consciousness to the absolute present. The garden is a world entirely apart, a place where the frantic, noisy worries of the village and the complex, heavy philosophies of the apothecary shop are replaced by the simple, eternal, and silent geometry of natural growth and necessary rest. What? The further you venture into the heart of the garden, the more you feel the profound reveal of this ancient and hidden space settling into your mind. You begin to realize, as the cool silver mist brushes against your cheeks like a ghost's touch, that nature itself is the original and supreme apothecary of the world. These plants do not require the heavy mortar or the stone pestle of man to be medicinal. Their very existence, their very breath, is the ultimate remedy. The low, steady hum of the lilies is a sovereign cure for the fractured, racing mind, and the soft, silver glow of the ferns is a cooling balm for the weary, overworked eye. We are not the masters or the owners of this craft. We are merely temporary guests in a garden that has been healing the tired earth since long before the first foundation stone of Elderwood was ever laid in the dirt. The apothecary shop, with all its neatly labeled jars and its heavy ink-stained ledgers, is but a humble human translation of the vast wordless and ancient wisdom found here in the damp soil and the cold starlight. This realization brings with it a sense of total transcendence, a feeling of being a small, quiet, but essential part of a much larger and much older story than your own. You are no longer a mere observer of the night. You have become a silent participant in the Earth's own eternal process of restoration and peace. At the very heart of the Moongazer's garden stands a small, perfectly circular fountain carved from a single, massive block of dark, unpolished basalt. It does not spray water into the air or roar with the sound of a mechanical pump. Instead, the clear water overflows from the top in a thin, continuous, and shimmering sheet that clings to the dark stone like a second skin. The sound it produces is the ultimate rug shong, the rhythmic, steady and heart-slowing drip of water hitting the surface of the deep pool below. Drip. A long, silent pause. Drip. Dite. Another pause, even longer. It is a sound that possesses no beginning and no end. A steady, primordial metronome that has been marking the slow passage of the night for 1,000 years without interruption. The repetition is absolute and perfect. It is the sound of time being measured not in frantic minutes or ticking seconds, but in the weight of single, heavy drops of water. Your own breathing instinctively begins to synchronize with the rhythm of the fountain. The cool air enters your lungs as the drop forms on the edge of the stone, and it leaves them in a long, slow sigh as the drop finally falls into the dark water below. The world of thought, of language, and of identity has completely dissolved, replaced by the singular, eternal, and hypnotic rhythm of the water. You are drifting now, suspended in a state of perfect silver starlight, where the only remaining reality is the pulse of the garden and the steady, cooling drip of the basalt stone. The cool night air begins to sharpen and intensify around you, a gentle but firm reminder of the world's physical presence. It nips softly at your skin, providing a refreshing, clean contrast to the heavy, aromatic, and herb-scented warmth of the apothecary shop you left behind. This sudden touch of the cold is not harsh or unwelcome. It is a beckoning, a silent invitation from the night. It makes the very thought of the apothecary's interior, the deep, high-backed leather chair, the dying, deep red embers of the stone hearth, and the soft, waiting layers of linen blankets, feel like the most desirable and necessary destination in the entire universe. The garden has given you its peace, its frequency, and its silence, and now the night gently invites you to carry that heavy peace back into the final sanctuary of rest. The transition is a powerful, magnetic pull toward absolute comfort, a slow and graceful descent into the ultimate safety of a dreamless sleep. You turn slowly, your body feeling heavy and relaxed, following Elsie's retreating shadow back toward the soft, thin sliver of golden light peeking through the heavy velvet curtains of the rear door. The silver ferns continue to pulse with their rhythmic light behind you, and the midnight lilies continue their low-frequency hum, guarding the sacred silence of the garden as you depart. The residual warmth of the building reaches out to meet you like a physical embrace as you cross the threshold once more. And as the heavy oak door finally closes with a final, muffled and absolute thud, you feel the final weight of the day settle into the floorboards for the last time. The bed, with its infinite layers of cool linen and its faint, lingering scent of dried lavender, beckons to you with an irresistible and ancient gravity. You are ready finally to close your eyes, letting the distant, rhythmic drip of the basalt fountain carry you over the final bridge of consciousness and deep into the vast, starlit, and silent ocean of your dreams. The history of the day is over. The history of the night has begun. The final, fading sliver of starlight from the Moongazer's garden is gently tucked away as the heavy oak door settles back into its ancient frame with a soft, definitive, and muffled click. The apothecary is finally, truly, and completely quiet. The echoes of the day, the laughter of the festival, and the whispers of the stories have all drifted into the rafters to sleep. Elsie moves through the deepening shadows not as a worker or an apprentice, but as a silent ghost of comfort. She reaches for the long ties of her linen apron, the fabric rustling with a dry, rhythmic sound that mimics the gentle falling of autumn leaves onto a forest floor. She undoes the knot slowly, feeling the immense weight of the day's labor slide off her shoulders along with the heavy garment. She folds the apron with a deliberate, meditative slowness, smoothing the fabric against the cool, dark wooden counter until every wrinkle is gone. Every movement is a deceleration. Every breath is a further descent into the dark. The shop is no longer a place of business or alchemy. It is a hollowed-out space of pure, undisturbed, and sacred peace. The glass jars on the high shelves have stopped their shimmering. The herbs in their tins have finished their low humming. The entire world of Elderwood has tucked itself in for the night, and within these thick stone walls, the air feels thick, warm, and infinitely kind to the soul. Elsie moves slowly toward the very last candle still flickering on the stone mantle. It is a small, humble flame, casting a warm, flickering amber circle on the ancient, soot-stained stones. She does not blow it out with a sharp or sudden breath. Instead, she leans in close and lets out a soft, lingering, and rhythmic exhale, a gentle, final sigh that carries the very last of the day's intentions away with it. The flame wavers. It dances one last, graceful time, and then it quietly vanishes into the dark. The darkness that follows is not a void. It is not an absence of light. It is a soft, velvet, and heavy blanket that rises up from the floor to meet you. This darkness is a physical texture, a plush and heavy weight that settles over your tired limbs, pulling you deeper and deeper into the soft cushions of your chair. In this absolute darkness, your eyes no longer need to seek or to wander. Your mind no longer needs to map or to understand. The shadows are your true allies now, shielding you from the harsh brightness of the waking world. The room has dissolved into a vast sea of soft edges and cooling warmth. You are safe. You are hidden. You are exactly where you were always meant to be at the end of the journey. As you sit in this perfect velvet dark, a final, beautiful reveal begins to whisper through the silence of the shop. You realize, with a heavy heart of joy, that you are no longer a visitor to this apothecary. You are not a traveler passing through the village of Elderwood for a single night. You have become a permanent part of its very foundation. You are the warmth held within the ancient stones. You are the scent of the dried sage hanging from the blackened rafters. You are the steady heartbeat pulse of the grandfather clock in the corner. This home, this sanctuary of hearth and herb, is not a place you ever have to leave. It is a place that now lives permanently inside you, tucked away in the quietest chamber of your heart. Whenever the world outside becomes too loud, whenever the lights of reality become too bright, this shop is here. The door is always unlocked for you. The fire is always waiting in the warm embers. You belong to the sacred quietude of Luo. This village, and it belongs to you. You are home. You are finally home. The silence grows. Hey. The space between the words widens now. Everything is still. The world is soft. The village is sleeping. Your breath is slow, like the turning of the tide. The heavy wood of the chair is holding you, supporting you, carrying you. The weight of your eyelids is so very heavy now, like leaden silk. There is nothing left to do. No more stories to hear. No more paths to walk. Only the dark. Only the peace. Only the drift. Deep night. Still. Rest now. From the rug by the dying hearth comes a final sound. A low, vibrating, and rhythmic hum. It is Thistle. She is dreaming of sun-warmed windows and fields of silver grass. Her purr is a steady, rhythmic engine of absolute comfort. It vibrates through the floorboards, through the heavy air, reaching your soul. The sound has no edges. The sound has no beginning and no end. As you listen, the sound of the purring begins to blur. It softens. It stretches. It slowly, gracefully transforms into the steady white noise of a distant winter wind, a soft, static hum that fills the last empty spaces of your mind. The sound is a bridge made of silver clouds and moonlight. You are walking across it now, leaving the world of wood and stone behind, entering the infinite world of mist and stars. The purr is fading. The white noise is rising. Deep, neat surrent men, night harsens. Deeper. Don't. Sleep now. Elderwood is sleeping under the moon. The apothecary is dark and still. The final ember is gone. Good night. Safe. Sleep. Biden. The darkness is a soft ocean. You are drifting further from the shore. The rhythm of the clock is a faint memory. The scent of the herbs is a ghostly trace. There is only this stillness. This perfect, unshakable quiet. The night has claimed its own. You are wrapped in the velvet. You are cradled in the shadow. Your thoughts are like autumn leaves sinking into a deep, dark pool. They are gone. They are at rest. The journey is complete. The doors are barred. The lights are out. The silence is your song. The dark is your home. Rest in the cradle of Elderwood. Rest in the heart of the apothecary. Rest in the secret garden of the moon. The vibrant golden amber world of the village has now fully receded into the deep indigo depths of the late night, leaving behind only the softest, most delicate trace of a ghostly whisper in the air. As you drift effortlessly on the very edge of that vast, silent, and shoreless ocean of sleep, a new gentle thought begins to form in the stillness of your mind, a thought as light and as silent as a single, falling owl feather in a winter wood. It is a soft, rhythmic whisper about the inevitable changing of the seasons, a tender reminder that the hidden world of Elderwood never truly stops its slow, majestic, and rhythmic turning. The air outside the thick, ancient stone walls of the apothecary is growing sharper, cleaner, and more expectant with every passing breath. The harvest has been gathered into the barns, the lanterns in the square have burned down to their last glowing wicks, and the very ground beneath the village is beginning to prepare itself for a different, more profound kind of magic. There is a quiet silver promise hanging in the mist tonight, the sacred promise of the coming snow. Soon, the golden, brittle leaves will be replaced by a heavy, silent blanket of pristine, shimmering white, and the village will gather once more for the winter celebration. It will be a time of frost flowers blooming on window panes, the scent of cedar smoke rising straight into the frozen sky, and the deepest, most restorative of all earthly silences. But that is a story for another time, a dream reserved for a different night, in a different season. For now, the apothecary and the ancient spirits of the valley offer you their final, most sacred and protective blessings. May your heart find the same unshakable stillness that dwells within the ancient, mossy stones of this very heart. May your mind be as clear, as cool, and as calm as the deep mountain spring water held within the polished copper vats downstairs. May your rest tonight be deep, undisturbed, and as sweet as the wild forest honey gathered from the sun-drenched meadows of a lost summer. You are wrapped securely in the protection of the hearth and herb, a sanctuary that exists far beyond the reach of the frantic, noisy world, a place where time is not measured by clocks, but only by the steady, peaceful pulse of eternal peace. As the darkness settles into its final, most comfortable, and velvet weight, a tiny shimmering secret is left for you to carry into the world of dreams, a viral loop of wonder that will wait patiently for you. Until we meet again in the shadows of the shop. There is a specific rare kind of alchemy that occurs only once every year. A transformation that begins when the very first, solitary snowflake of the season descends through the biting cold air and touches the polished surface of the large copper vats in the courtyard. It is whispered in the old text that when the frost first meets the warm metal, the tinctures within begin to hum a different, more celestial, tune melody composed of ice, starlight, and the long memory of the earth. We shall see what happens to the midnight lily when it is finally kissed by the silver frost, and we shall discover what new, hidden remedies the snow-covered earth has to offer to the weary and the heavy-hearted. The voice of the apothecary is fading now, retreating slowly into the velvet shadows to leave you in the perfect, hallowed company of the night. The stories have all been told. The precious herbs have all been stored in their jars. The last of the lights have been extinguished. There is only the long, rhythmic, and peaceful breath of the sleeping village outside, and the steady, ancient, and comforting heartbeat of the surrounding forest. The journey through the halls of Elderwood is over, and the rest, the beautiful, deep rest, is finally yours to take. The air in the room is perfectly still. The warmth is constant and protective. The silence is absolute. Sleep now. Sleep. Sleep. Now. The heavy, rhythmic ticking of the great clock is gone now. The soft, vibrating and hypnotic purr of the cat has faded into the grain of the wood. The whispers have dissolved into the air. There is only the sound of the autumn rain against the dark glass, a steady, hypnotic, and endless drumming that washes away the very last traces of the waking world from your mind. Or perhaps, if you listen closely, it is the sound of the fire's final breath, the last, deep red ember, popping softly, almost silently, as it surrenders its last bit of warmth to the welcoming darkness. It is a rhythmic, crackling song that anchors your heavy body to the earth, while your spirit begins to drift upward toward the cold, bright stars. The sound is becoming a wall of velvet. It is a shield of water and fire. It is the white noise of eternity itself. Fade into the rain. Fade into the dying fire. Fade into the velvet dark. Elderwood is gone. The shop is gone. The garden is gone. There is only the drift. There is only the peace. There is only the sleep. 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 Sleep.